Hey everybody, welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. I'm Kristi Brower here with my sister, partner in crime, and co-host, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm going to give you all a warning that my little ancient Chihuahua Skippy is having a big fight with his blanket here in my office. He has a bed in here, so if you can hear some whining and struggling going on, that's him. He's had a rough afternoon, unfortunately.
Oh, has he? Oh, what happened?
I'm a terrible mother. He had a bit of an accident.
Oh no.
It's been really melty today. Our snow is melting like crazy.
Yeah.
And in front of my front step is just a huge puddle of ice water, like slushy ice cold water. And it's a couple inches deep.
Ooh.
So I was putting him out to potty today, and I put him down on the bottom step, which he's blind. So we have a whole system. I put him down on the bottom step. He jumps down, he potties, he turns around, he comes straight back in. And we do pretty well with that most of the time. Last week, he got off course and got stuck in a snowbank and couldn't get out and was digging the wrong direction. And when I finally got to him, he dug clear to the grass and was totally stuck. So, it's not without its issues because, not only is he blind, but he's on some pretty wooey seizure medicine. So he's pretty bonkers
Right.
too. He's just a crazy little old grandpa living out his days, and we adore him. But he's he's kind of got his issues. But anyway, I put him on the bottom step and kind of over to the side where he should have been able to just jump down right onto where it's more ice and not like that big puddle. But some snow that's melting off the house, a big drop dripped on his back and startled him. And that made him kind of flip around and back up and fell off the step. And it's not a big fall. That's not a fall risk. But he fell right into the puddle on his side and then turned onto his back and then was like a turtle stuck on his back, couldn't get up, kicking, flipping water everywhere. He was absolutely drenched in ice water.
Oh, so Skippy.
And I'm trying to get to him and stand him up. I mean, obviously the whole thing only took a few seconds, but as I get to him, he finally stands up, and then he still has to potty out there. And then I brought him in and wrapped him in a towel, but he shook for an hour. He was so cold. I felt terrible. So anyway, now he's in here fighting his blankies, and that's his normal MO. But anyway, so poor little Jones, he's had a bit of a tough afternoon.
He sure has, darn it.
Yeah. But the backyard's no better. So, it's
what do you do?
Pick your poison right now.
Yeah, we are melting right now too. Same thing. We'll go through that whole phase now.
Yeah.
Well,
the pigs are in heaven.
Yeah.
They're getting more bare spots in the backyard. They've been out laying against the fence and sunning themselves, and they really like it. But yeah, my poor little Skip, this is not so much for him.
My little dogs are doing the same along our fence where it's melted. They're loving it.
Yeah. Yep. That part feels super good. And the sun feels wonderful.
It does. Yeah.
Really wonderful.
I am a huge fan, and just want to say welcome to Patsy and RJ and Bianca and Cammie joining the live stream. Nice to have you guys here. This is, of course, our Wednesday night case update. We go live every Wednesday, and we like to talk about what's happening with cases we're currently covering, and sometimes we share stuff from old cases that have been solved, but we actually have quite a bit to cover tonight, just about mostly shenanigans going on in the Daybell Vallow case, because of course there are.
Yeah.
But we have a very special treat for you guys because
yeah, we do.
Living where this case is happening pays off on a regular basis, and you're going to see why here in a few minutes. So we are going to share something pretty darn priceless with you
that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else.
No. This is probably a scoop that, no other true crime podcaster is going to have, at least not the original audio of. So
maybe they'll steal ours, but
they might. It's possible. But hey, Jennifer and Terry coming in. Let's get started because we have quite a bit. So we've got some stuff going on in the Daybell Vallow case we wanted to talk about. Now, just a reminder that this is in regards to JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan, who were found deceased and buried in the backyard of Chad Daybell in June of last year. Their
Mhm.
mother is Lori Vallow Daybell. And we've been covering this case from the beginning because it happened not very far from Katie's house, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So right now, Chad and Lori are in jail awaiting trial on conspiracy to conceal and destroy evidence. And then Chad is also charged with the actual concealing and destroying of evidence. They have not been charged with murder yet. And of course, there are many other deaths around them that, we have lots of questions about. But right now, there's a lot of stuff going on back and forth between their attorneys. And we've had a lot of fun talking about Mark Means, who is Lori Vallow's attorney, and John Pryor, who's Chad Daybell's attorney. And they've given us a lot of entertainment. And then, of course, we have prosecutor Rob Wood, who is prosecuting this case. So you may know that a couple of weeks ago, we covered a hearing where Mark Means had done, sorry, I have to say, Cammie says, it means zooming as a jackass. I think that's just his regular face. It's not even, he doesn't even have to get, the cat filter or whatever. That's just his regular face. So there was
Your Honor. I'm not a jackass.
Yeah.
No, we're quite sure you are.
Yeah, you are. A couple of weeks ago, so they were in court trying to compel Prosecutor Wood to give them some stuff that he had already given them. It was just this big petty thing. Okay. Well, I think they've poked the bear a few too many times because there's some stuff going down now. So now Prosecutor Wood has filed an order to compel, a motion to compel on Mark Means. So we have a hearing coming up at the end of the month on the 22nd. That is a motion to change venue because these cases have been joined. Now they want to change the venue and get them out of our community, which is wise because there is no one here who does not know what this case is. So Katie, you had some really good information about what this actually is. So do you want to share that?
Yeah. So there were quite a few filings, but this one came out on the 24th.
Yeah.
And this was Rob Wood basically filing to request a witness. So he wants remote testimony from, from an expert witness. He's asking for a motion for remote testimony so that this witness doesn't have to travel, which I'm assuming is kind of a formality anyway, since we're pretty much Zooming. But the person that he wants to bring in as an expert witness is Rhonda Harper. So I found Rhonda Harper on LinkedIn. According to LinkedIn, she is out of Dallas, Texas. She is an expert witness from Harper Litigation, Consulting, and Research. So I believe that this will be her, weighing in on whatever the prosecution's position is here on moving the case or not. So that was the first thing that he filed, was just basically asking the court to allow her to testify remotely rather than the state needing to bring her in, which again is probably a technicality considering, that we're Zooming at this rate anyway.
Right.
But that was the first thing that he asked for.
Yeah. So then he filed wanting to allow expert witness from Mr. David Bryant of Ironwood Insights to also appear at the motion to transfer by Zoom, wants him by Zoom as well. And, do you want to talk a little bit about what Ironwood Insights is?
Yeah. Now, Ironwood Insights has been hired by Mark Means.
Yes.
So Mark Means is also asking the same thing. That his witness also be remote. So Ironwood Insights is a company. They're a big company. They're a big consulting and research design company. They do research design, data collection, and analytics and reporting. So recently, they were hired by Mark Means and maybe by both of the defense. I'm not sure on that. But basically to gather some data in this area to find out whether or not it's really going to be okay to have the trial here, whether their clients can get a fair trial. So what they were doing was basically telemarketing.
Yeah.
And so I had said to my kids, I was talking to my son on the phone and I said, if anyone gets a call from them, I want you to record it, please. And while I'm talking to him, he's like, hold on, I'm getting a call. That could be one of my coaches. He comes back on. He's like, oh, that's weird. Some guy asking me if I wanted to do a research about about law enforcement in the area. And he said, I told him no. And I was like, that's weird. I'm not kidding. Less than 60 seconds later, my daughter comes dashing in the room, grabs my phone, hangs up on my son, and starts my camera and lays it on the table because guess who she's got on the phone? Ironwood Insights. That's who called him too.
Yeah.
Sadly, I looked through my phone and discovered they'd called me that day too, and I hadn't answered because I was on the phone with a client.
Wow.
So I missed my chance, but we did get to listen to Mars talking to them. I will admit she messed around with them. That's the problem with these kinds of surveys is no one is compelled to be honest. They can say whatever the hell they want, which she did mostly because I wanted her to keep them on the phone for a minute and kind of get a feel for them. But the first question was, would you be willing to answer a survey about criminal justice in your area? And she said yes, and then offered her own opinion about criminal justice in this area. And the guy was like, okay, well, actually, I wanted to ask you some specific questions. And she was like, oh, okay. And this is when we started recording. So we're going to play it for you guys. You can't see anything because my phone was just flat on the table, but you can hear the conversation. So we'll just let you listen.
Yeah.
So actually, let's keep going. I can still get it. I have it.
Okay, we're just going to keep going and talk about some other stuff. And then we're going to come back to this thing that we said was really cool that no one else has, because we really do still have it.
We really do still have it.
Okay, so there was another filing. This was very interesting. So in a couple of weeks ago when they were in court and Mark Means was crying his eyes out about not getting all the stuff that he wanted from the prosecutor's office. Here's the thing that you have to understand. The prosecutor's office has given him a hard drive that's like 2 terabytes of information. It is not that he doesn't have this information. What he wants is for them to break it down for him so that he doesn't have to go looking for it. That's really the whole point of this. Because he's a big whiny baby and he doesn't have any office staff or anyone to help him. And so he doesn't want to have to sift through 2 terabytes of information. He wants them to, send him a collated list. So here's what they're asking for. And I found this super interesting. So, so this hearing was on January 8th. This was the motion to compel. And so he has, and he only has a few more days to get all of this in. So here's what he's asking for. He wants the special prosecutor to state whether he personally has met with the following witnesses or prospective witnesses. And then he wants to say when and what did they talk about. Lori Daybell, Chad Daybell, Alex Cox, who was long dead before this case was even a thing, Zulema Pastenis, all of the Daybell children. Zulema Pastenis, of course, is Lori's sister-in-law, was Alex's wife for a very short period of time. So let's look at the rest of this list. Tammy Daybell, also, what? Tammy was dead long before any of this was anything. So this list is really strange. Adam Cox and children of Adam Cox. Adam is Lori's brother. Colby Ryan, Kelsey Ryan, that's Lori's son and daughter-in-law. Parents of Chad Daybell. Parents of Tammy Daybell. Parents of Lori Daybell. Melanie Gibb. Summer Shiflett. And any family members, so that's any family members of Lori. David Warwick. Larry Woodcock. Kay Woodcock. April Raymond. Annie Cushing, who is Tylee's aunt, who on Facebook said, I have never been a witness in this case I have no idea why I'm on this list. I've never talked to anybody. Melanie Pulowski, who is Lori's niece, Ian Pulowski, Brandon Boudreau, who is Melanie Pulowski's ex-husband, Heather Daybell, and Matthew Daybell. This is a bizarre list of people, some of whom are dead, some of whom have never been called as a witness, some of whom, there's just all kinds of weird stuff going on here about why would he have ever spoken to Tammy Daybell about this case. She was dead in September of 2019. Alex Cox, who was dead in December of 2019, both of which, this was even before this case was a thing. Why would he have spoken to either of them? And then other people on this list who, have never been on a witness list anywhere. So really interesting. It's really a lot of testing to see what the prosecutor knows and who the prosecutor has talked to. There's really a lot going on here that is just it's the defense trying to figure out what the prosecution knows, and it's also just the defense being lazy as hell because they have all of this. It's just in a big tons of files that they should have to go through themselves because I don't know, that's their job. Cammie says, are they thinking the dead can speak? Oh wait, that's where you guys come in. Yeah, maybe we should do a session with Lori or with Tammy Daybell and with Alex Cox. Right. Good Lord.
Seeing Tammy on that list really made me laugh. I was like, why though?
Right. Well, and Alex, like, the prosecutor's office wasn't involved in this case at the time that he died. Why would they have spoken to him?
Right.
It's super weird. And then like Annie Cushing, who is Tylee's aunt, has said that she's never spoken to anyone. No one's ever asked to talk to her. So why is she on that list?
Right. But also, why did they spell Tammy Daybell's name wrong?
Mm-hmm.
More than once.
They did. I noticed that too.
I know it's just, that's a small thing, but it's not, you know? Ultimately, these are details that count. And as always, things are done incorrectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, putting dead people on the list that you know he never spoke to because, again,
they were unfortunately
that JJ and Tylee aren't on the list.
Right? I know. So here's what the order says. For those individuals, the special prosecutor identifies as having met or conversed with, the special prosecutor shall identify to the best of his recollection the date and time of such meeting or conversation with the specific witness and list the names of any other person present for or a party to such conversation or meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Furnish the defendant the statements made by the prosecution witnesses or prospective prosecution witnesses to the prosecuting attorney. Furnish to the defendant a copy of any written or recorded statements of the witness or prospective witnesses. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So he has 14 days from the 17th to do that.
Yeah.
Which is it's just interesting because it's just like, they want secretarial work out of the prosecutor's office, really, is what they're asking for.
What they're asking for.
And it's so dumb.
Well, and not to beat a dead horse, but they also spelled David Warwick. That's David Warwick, not David Warwick.
That's what I thought when I said it. I'm like, I think that's wrong.
So, and again, petty as hell, but how compelled are they to turn over stuff when they're asking for the wrong thing?
Right. When they can't even bother to spell anybody's name right.
They have no one named David Warwick on their list. It's petty and it's stupid, but at the same time, it's ridiculous that they can't even have an adequate witness list that has the names of all of the people they want to talk to spelled correctly, or even have their correct name. Right. Warwick and Warwick are two different names.
Right. Like who? Okay. Well, he doesn't have to provide that because he never talked to a David Warwick.
Right.
Red Girl says it's like Means just listed every name he ever heard in court. I'm surprised he didn't list his own name. Right. Me too. And then he didn't spell it incorrectly. This list it's just wild. Like some of it, I'm like, no thought at all about this.
Well, they are just determined to prove some way, somehow, that the prosecutor has been coaching everybody.
Yes.
But they also keep trying to insinuate that the prosecutor is not allowed to talk to anybody, and that's not true.
No, it's not true at all.
It's so weird. His, their means has to get some idea in his head of how he thinks the law is, whether it's correct or not, and he just can't stop.
No,
It's so
and
crazy.
of course the prosecutor has talked to people. That is his job. Because he is forming the prosecution's case.
Yeah.
Like, hello, that's his job. So weird. Cranky says maybe he's just doing what Lori is telling him to do. That could be. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It does make you wonder where some of this comes from.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is laziness, though. That he just doesn't want to have to do the job. He doesn't want to have to, he does not have time to go through all of that data. So he's trying to find a way to force them to do it for him.
Right. Yeah. Like, here, this is all the important stuff I need. Make me a list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really, dude? Like, you can't. This is how incompetent you are that you can't go through this stuff yourself.
I really hope that once it is all returned to him, and I don't know how all these briefs work, so I don't know that it will be, but that the prosecution files something with the court, stating we have now turned over all of these things they asked for on this date. We also turned them over on this date and this date, to be able to go, again, we have already given them these things. We're now giving them to them over again. So that, if there's another motion to compel, they can come back and say, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
We keep giving you the information you're asking for. Even when they were in court in the, the motion to compel, the prosecutor's office said, we sent you a ton of stuff last week. And he admitted to the judge that he hadn't had time to go through it yet. He didn't actually even know what he had.
No. Well, and he also did not have a full list of names. This is the list of names that he finally got to Prosecutor Wood because he didn't even have it in the hearing. Like, what the hell, dude?
When and the prosecutor and the judge asked him, who are you asking for? Well, just everyone he's ever talked to, just everyone, basically just everyone.
And Wood was like,
what?
Literally everyone I've ever talked to? Like,
yeah.
You might want to narrow that down a little bit, dum-dum.
Yeah, because he didn't even have an answer for that. The whole thing is just so dumb. But again, we are talking about some serious inadequacy here. But
we are.
Anyway, I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting yet, and it'll be interesting to see what we get.
Well, and I'm very curious about some of the names on that list, about why he wants to know if prosecutor would talk to him and what he talked to them about and why. Like, I'm curious about some of the names are obvious. They've already testified. We know what they have to say, but some of them haven't. And I'm curious about if he's just fishing to see what Woods knows, or if this is, just a game, or what this is, because some of those people have not, as of yet, given any evidence that mattered.
Right. But that was one
Cranky. Yeah, the barista at Starbucks too, because everyone.
Yeah. Didn't they ask for like his grandmother's Hotmail account or something?
He did say that. Well, and he wanted, if he's spoken to anyone on his personal cell phone, and implying that he's like doing a bunch of stuff he's not supposed to be doing. And Wood's like, I haven't talked to anybody on my personal cell phone about this case.
Well, the thing is,
we did say something like, if my brother-in-law asks how the case is going and I say, oh, it's going like they usually do, does that count? Do I have to include that?
Well, that's it. I mean, on one hand, we have Woods just doing his job. On the other, we have these two that have no case. And so they're determined to just keep trying to nitpick and, pick at the prosecutor because it's really all they have.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, Woods doesn't need to cheat. He doesn't need to break the rules. Their case is pretty rock solid. And that's the snippet of stuff that we know of from the original, the initial hearing. There is so much more that, we don't know about. Woods should, or, Means should know about if he would open all those terabytes of info he has that I'm guessing he's, hasn't.
Maybe but plug it into his computer. Is it possible this is a tech issue?
it's very possible.
Yellow Moon Dreams wants to know, what sort of evidence do we think the prosecutor has that wasn't in the discovery?
Aha! I'm glad you asked.
Hmm.
I think that one of the things they have that we don't know about yet are all of the pings from Lori's cell phone
Yes.
and from Chad's cell phone, and where and when on Chad's property they were pinging.
Yes.
I think those are things that we don't know about yet that are going to be very insightful.
Yeah, I
We've
feel
been
like
saying
that's
for
super
a
important.
year. Yep. We've been saying for a year that it would be the tech that takes them down, and that is proving to be true. That's where it's at for me.
It is, yes. And that's really where it was with the FBI tech guys in the preliminary hearing for Chad, that, I mean, prove exactly on the property where they work in comparison to where they found the bodies. I mean, there's going to be a lot there. But I also feel like there's going to be some of these names we're not as familiar with who know some things. These two are not criminal masterminds at all.
No.
They buried the kids on his property, okay? They have screwed up. They have told somebody something. There are some people who know things that haven't come forward yet. I really feel like that. Yeah, Yellow Moon Dream says, I think so too. Rob Wood has a few aces up his sleeve. He does. And, the defense is scared because they know he does. And the problem for the defense is they have no defense. What is their defense? They have none. I mean, it's her children.
Alex did it.
Buried on his property. Yeah, the only defense they have is Alex did it and he's dead now. Except that they're going to be able to prove where Chad and Lori were on those days that they were saying Chad, that Alex did it, where they were.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to consider they had enough evidence from Alex's pings to get those search warrants to find those kids.
They did.
That tells you a hell of a lot.
It does.
And so, but obviously they weren't going to give more than that, in the preliminary, because they didn't have to.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know yet, but I really do feel that there are some other people involved here that know some things, and that's what some of these names on this witness list are some bombshells we have not heard from yet. So I'm very, very curious to hear what they have to tell us, because I feel like there's so much more that we don't know, and I feel like that is just absolutely killing Means and Pryor. Yeah. And that's where a lot of this stuff is coming from, is they're trying, they're digging to see what do they know? Who have they talked to?
Yeah.
Well,
the other thing that you have to consider is that Means or Woods has talked to victims' families.
No.
You got to remember, some of these people might be called up as a witness in some way, but like Colby and Colby's wife, these are the families of the victim, Annie Cushing, the Woodcocks.
The Woodcocks, yeah.
He has probably spoken to them in the context of being the families of the victims.
Right.
I mean, there's kind of a double-edged hat. That's not a thing.
That is not a thing.
There's kind of two hats here, though, to wear, in considering all of the things that we do or we don't know about this situation. Anyway, I think that is something that'll be interesting. That video is uploaded and ready now. I apologize, you guys. That was my own fault.
We'll get to it in a minute. One of the things back when they had the hearing trying to get Prosecutor Wood removed, and he had the conversation with Lori's sister, Summer Shiflett, and that whole thing went down. One of the things that I found so interesting is how he was telling her, we know the mastermind behind all of this is Chad. We know that your sister fell victim to him. They're pushing to get Lori to turn. Yeah. They clearly have enough to know who was the driver of the bus of this situation. I found that really, really interesting that he shared that with her. He shared a lot with her that I felt like he was hoping she would run right back to her and tell her, like, hey, your attorney is a dumbass. He needs a new one. You need a new one. And also, we know who the mastermind is here. If she will tell us what she knows,
Yeah.
we can help her. And I found that very interesting. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Lori's so horrible. But, we have thought for a long time that Lori is so sucked in by Chad. She is still in jail, just dying over him and dying to have contact with him and missing him terribly. And she still very much is connected to the idea that she's following his plan.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And
She
I
had
feel
a
like that's something we have to
horrible
realize.
meltdown at jail not that long ago,
Yeah.
screaming and crying and begging to talk to her husband.
Yeah.
She's definitely still strongly on Team Chad. Yeah.
She is. And that's interesting because I'm curious about Chad. Is he so much on Team Lori?
Yeah. Well, I think probably not, considering that his attorney did not want a joinder because he said that would be extremely damaging to his client's case, which doesn't make you think that he wants to be connected to her. No. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It is. And so that I think we have to always remember that with this witness list is that's and maybe that's just what they wanted her to think, but I think it gave us a little peek into how the defense is looking at this case.
Yeah.
So we have this audio up now. So just give us a little intro again. What is this?
So this is an example of what Ironwood Insights was doing in Rexburg. This was a phone call that they made to a family member of mine, and we just recorded it. And like I said, we did have a little fun with them, which is, like it or don't, maybe you won't, but we ultimately we have no obligation to be honest. This is just a telemarketing call, but. Right. Anyway, we thought you guys might find it interesting to hear what they sounded like.
It's kind of quiet, so you'll have to turn your volume up quite a bit.
Members or close. So, are you or any of your family members or close friends employed by the county court system?
No.
Okay. Do you or does any member of your household work for any television, radio, newspaper, or advertising agencies?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar with any crimes that happened in the Rexburg area over the last couple of years where 2 or more people were killed?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember any details about this crime or the people involved?
I remember Chad, Daybell, and Lori, Vallow, and they killed their 2 children. Or at least that's what the rumor is.
Gotcha. So you said Chad and Lori Daybell, correct?
Yeah.
How closely would you say you've been following this crime? Or how have you been following it?
I guess I just see what is on the news.
So not very closely?
No, not really.
Okay. Where did you hear about it? Newspaper, radio, television, internet?
Probably mostly on the internet, like news articles and maybe a little bit of talk about it, just at school.
Gotcha. If you were to say you lean one way or the other right now about the guilt or innocent of Lori and Chad, which way would you lean towards? Guilty or innocent?
I have no idea because I don't honestly know what exactly happened. So I think I'd lean a little bit more guilty just because of what I've seen, but I'm not sure because I don't really exactly know what happened.
Yeah. Do you think they'll definitely... Oh, yeah, my bad. Whoops. Do you think they will receive a fair trial in Madison County?
Yeah, I think they could. For sure.
Alright. And, when you're just about finished, I would just like to ask you a few questions just about yourself to, get a good feeling about most people down there.
Okay.
What was the last grade of school that you completed?
I'm a senior right now, so would that be my junior year?
You can just go with GED and call it
Okay. So my GED.
Okay. And what is your racial ethnicity? You don't have to answer.
No, it's
we
okay.
can.
I'm
Okay.
white or like Caucasian.
We're ready to let this go now.
Yeah. So that's the gist of it. She seemed to forget that she's actually the editor of her school newspaper.
She actually did an article about Tylee in her newspaper too.
Yeah, she was also among the media that was at the press briefing site when the kids were found,
That's
along with
right.
me.
Mhm.
That made me laugh after. I'm like, you do know you're the media, right? And she went, oh, yes, I am. Okay. But we said no because we wanted to hear the rest of his questions. So anyway, that's essentially what that sounded like. And yeah, we were racking our brains for another 2 dead people in this town so that we could throw that out there instead of JJ and Tylee, but we couldn't come up with anything. So
Well, he clearly, he switched to, okay, so do you think Chad and Lori are going to get a fair trial? That kind of thing. He
Mhm.
knew. He knew.
That was very leading. Yeah. Yeah. So we just thought you guys might find that fairly interesting, that's what their little that's what Ironwood Insights is coming to testify about, is that interview
Yeah,
that they had with locals.
with locals. Very
And I don't
interesting.
know where they got all of our phone numbers from, but I know that 3 people in my household were called.
Yeah, interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Cammie says, I would play this to the hilt. Seriously, she should have said, my mom and aunt talked to the dead, and no. I love it. Well, all the questions about, do you know much about this case and where do you hear about it? And I'm like, because your mom never stops talking about it. And your mom and your aunt have done like 40 episodes on this case on their podcast. Like, oh, so funny.
Oh, we're the worst. That was just so serendipitous that call came and we were able to record it. I just think it's fascinating. Before that, they had already tried this once before. There was a woman walking around St. Anthony, which, you guys, if you don't know St. Anthony, which you probably don't, that is an itty bitty town.
Yeah.
That I don't know how many people she could have possibly come across just wandering through town with a clipboard. That is so weird to me. But anyway, asking people what they knew about the case. And essentially the prosecutor and the judge agreed that study that they did wasn't really going to be okay or admissible because the questions that they asked were inappropriate. But honestly, I kind of think Ironwood's questions were inappropriate there towards the end. I don't know.
It kind of got to the point where obviously she had said the right case. And so then he kind of dropped the whole spiel a little bit. But I don't know.
I do think they will probably, definitely. I mean, no, my bad.
Yeah. Yes. That kind of got screwed up. He kind of said the wrong thing a couple of times. So really interesting. I know that they do these kinds of things, but I'd never experienced it before. So it's very cool to hear it. Like, this is what they're calling and asking about. Just this sort of open-ended, hey, do you know about any bad guys in your town? Kind of stuff. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
So that's the update in the Daybell Vallow case. Of course, we will keep an eye, as always, on the shenanigans going along, and we're keeping a close eye on on that witness list. Super curious about it. Cammie, yes, this is a part of the change of venue issue. This is exactly what it is that they've been doing some surveys to determine. It's funny that they even have to do them because I'm pretty sure everybody can agree that they are not going to get a fair trial in this area and that they have to move it. Like, I don't even think the prosecutor wasn't even against that. Like, we all know, everyone knows, because everybody knows what has heard the stories and, everything. So
not just because it's a small town and not just because kids were buried on Chad's property, but because of the saturation of Mormons in this town.
Yes.
Like, everybody knows, everyone is talking. It would be ludicrous really to think. And here's the thing. It would be more convenient for us if it happened here. Of course, it's all on Zoom anyway, so what does it matter? But the truth is, I would rather them move it because at this point, they probably should. My son goes to college in the Boise area. And in one of his criminal justice classes right now, they were talking about, they they're choosing topics for their final research paper for the semester, and he threw that out there to his professor. He said, "I think I am going to write about mothers who harm their children, and put my focus on the Daybell Vallow case." And his instructor knew the Daybell Vallow case. He's a retired police officer, but most of the kids in his class did not.
Oh, interesting.
And so he and his professor had this back and forth for like 10 minutes about the case. And people in his class were like, "Wait a minute, what happened? Who?" And he called me and he's like, "Mom, seriously, most of the people in this class had no idea what we were talking about."
Well, so maybe the Boise area is the place to go. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. Or maybe Twin Falls. I don't know how far they're going to take it.
Twin Falls have been batted around. Yeah. And the truth is, we do not want a mistrial, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want these monsters to burn for what they have done.
Well, we don't want them to
every
have a bunch
capacity.
of appeals. Yeah. And no, they cannot move to a different state. This is a state trial, so it has to be in the state of Idaho. But I got to tell you, the state of Idaho is big. It's not big in people, but it is big in square footage. So there will be plenty of places to take it where people aren't as familiar.
Oh my God. I mean, they could go to northern Idaho, like up into the Coeur d'Alene area, and be, 10 hours from here by car. I mean, they could go a long ways.
I bet they go to the Boise area because that's the most populated area in the state. And so they will have a much bigger jury pool to choose from. And I feel like that's probably what they'll do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yellow Moondream says she saw the survey lady walking down her street in St. Anthony.
Did you? Okay. Yep. We've heard that from several people.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Did you talk to her?
She says no, that she didn't come to her door, but she saw her.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I would not want to be that person wandering around St. Anthony knocking on people's doors, because no offense to St. Anthonyans at all, except for that, people around here are super suspicious of everyone.
Well,
I wouldn't want to be that person. Of strangers. Yeah. Of people that you don't know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't either. Interesting.
I wouldn't want to do that in Rexburg either. People, there's a group on Facebook called Life in Rexburg. That is mostly I am attending it because it is so freaking funny. The people in this town and the stuff that make them mad is so funny that it just every day. But anyway, it's very often on that page, people will be like, "Did anyone see someone knocking on their door, wandering around? What were they selling? Who were these people?" There's a lot of suspicion around here. That's why it's so crazy that Chad and Lori got away with this shit, because usually people are overly monitoring each other. It's pretty wild that these two got away with all of that.
Yeah, they before they got on anybody's radar, it happened pretty fast, I think. Well, we have one more update for you, and this is in the Jessica Mast case.
Yes.
What is Courtney's last name? I can't. So one of the people charged. Courtney Almond. One of the people charged with the death of Jessica Mast. If you don't know what we're talking about, this is a child who was beaten to death right before Christmas. It's a big thing. There's a big religious part of this. That we do have a playlist on it if you want to go see what we're talking about. But Courtney Almond, who is one of the people charged with this child's murder, came up for a bail hearing this past week.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get, so Jessica's parents, Mary and James, have both been bonded out on ankle monitors. They are involved. Courtney was trying to get the same treatment, $500,000 bond and out on an ankle monitor. And everyone was there. Her family was there, ready to pay the bond and, do all the stuff, which just kind of makes me want to vomit. And she was going to go home to her parents and, all this stuff. Yeah, the judge said, "No, you're sitting your ass in jail. You killed a 4-year-old. Yeah. So I was happy to see that they did not let her out.
Yeah. There was also kind of an indication that there's more charges coming.
Yes, that was the other indication. Is a reason to not let her out was that potentially the charges are going to be elevated, was the word they used. And so that's really interesting, that something's, else is coming. So that's in the Jessica Mast case. We're continuing to watch that closely as it's a scary one and has some very weird similarities to the Daybell Vallow case, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So we
Yeah.
will be keeping you updated on it.
Yeah, but I was really glad to hear that. Interestingly, the other man that's been charged in that case, his court dates just keep getting pushed back, partly because he didn't have an attorney,
Yeah.
and he does now, but he was supposed to have court the same day that Courtney did, and they pushed it back again. And it just doesn't look to me like he's really trying to get bail. He doesn't seem to be, pushing for the same stuff that that Jessica's parents are, or that Courtney Almond was pushing for. But
I'm pretty sure he knows he's not getting bail. I mean, she
I would
seriously
think
thought
so.
she was getting bail, which is beyond me.
Where
Really?
the hell are these people getting their money? This is what kills me. On a $500,000 bond,
Yeah.
you are going to pay the bail bondsman somewhere between 10 and 15%. That's not money you get back. That's not a deposit. That's a payment. So in both cases of the Mast parents, somebody paid at least $50K to get them released. So someone has paid more than $100,000 to get these two off on bail.
Right.
They're out on bail. And now they were prepared to pony up money like that again to get Courtney out. Like, holy shit, that is a lot of money that you don't get back. That really slays me. But I guess I'm just a broke ass bitch because I couldn't come up with that.
Seriously, even if I put up my house, it wouldn't be enough money. Like it's a crazy amount of money.
It is a crazy amount of money. Yeah. So that one slayed me. The other things that her parents lived in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
So were they really asking for her to be released to her parents in another state?
There's no way in hell they were going to do that. But
no. Or were they going to move to Missouri to? I don't know.
Cammie says, so she's going to get bail and Lori gets a cell phone. Right. Look at these women that are involved in the deaths of children and so full of themselves. They think they're so special. What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that Kel, photography says, like Scott Peterson's case, I don't think they will find anywhere to have a fair trial. Right. He's being retried on... Yeah. He's being retried. I can't freaking believe this has happened with Scott Peterson. But he's being retried on a death penalty case. And I agree. Where are they going to find a jury for him? Seriously. I mean, who doesn't know about the Scott Peterson case? Like, geez.
Yeah. Yep. It's a tough one. Cal Photography also said that they're in Alberta and they knew all about it. Yeah. I mean, surely it's traveled. I mean, I know it has because I have clients on the East Coast that when this first started happening were sending me links going, isn't this where you live?
Yeah.
So yes, people have definitely been hearing about it.
They have. So it'll
down to the gritty details, but
not everybody watches the news. I mean, we're obviously true crime junkies. And so we're paying close attention to these things. Not everybody is, but it's like Scott Peterson has already been convicted and given the death penalty. I mean, his case, that's going to be a big challenge to find an impartial jury. And Cranky says, what if you, the worst.
Absolutely. Jesus.
Yeah.
Below.
Yeah. Well, that is the updates that we have for you tonight. I
have to say, JR said, thanks to me, she's been drinking diet cherry limeades from Sonic. I have been talking about my addiction to those, and that is the way to my heart.
They're the best. I know, me too.
Anyway, she said she has no idea why she hasn't heard of these before, but she is now addicted to. You are welcome.
I'm glad because, I'm a huge fan as well.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain for the Psychic Hour. It's the first Thursday of the month. And so we will be doing marching orders for all of you. Of course, we've already released our cases for the week. We had some really good ones. Guys, we did Jeffrey Dahmer. You got to go hear it. It was pretty good. I thought it was pretty
I
great.
did.
Also, if you didn't hear
I did
Katie's
too.
Jeffrey Dahmer joke earlier in the week, you're going to want to hear that as well.
Yeah,
And
you'll have to listen to our first episode for that one.
for that one. But we've got some great cases this week, including our MMI case, Shauna Evans, and don't miss those for sure.
Yeah.
You can always refer cases to us if you would like us to cover something. Go to truecrimeparanormalpodcast.com, and down at the bottom of the page there's a form to fill out to send us a case. Don't get too frustrated with us if we don't do it right away, because guys, hundreds of you have requested cases. So we are working on it. We're going to get to you, we promise. So don't worry. We have a huge list that we keep, and we will definitely be sharing all of that. So thank you all for being here with us tonight, for being here in the live chat, and for listening after the fact. And you know it, we are True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.